Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent attacking game to share with you. This was played in 1966 on the white end Mikhail Tal, playing against Robert Wade. Alright, on board we have an open Sicilian, and Robert Wade here playing the dragon variation. And the response here, the setup here by Tal, Yugoslav Attack. And let's get some more standard moves in out of this line. The first point to really touch on is this one here. Most popular is castles. All right, a very close second, the move in the game, h4. Immediately looking to pry open the h file. You see a pawn sacrifice shortly. Some care first taken over this light square bishop. It gets out of the line of fire. And there we go, h5 on board, knight takes h5. And from here, Tal follows with g4. Now, may seem like it's a fairly one-sided game. This is only a 25 mover, but there are moments throughout where black has opportunities to maybe even be a little bit better or equalize. So very instructive really for both sides here out of this Sicilian dragon opening. Now, rather than g4, this is what the computer says is top. Wants to first exchange knights, and then this follow-up move, this one caught me off guard, wants to drop in to d5. Wants to play a position without the queens. Now it says white is, for choice here, calls it about +1. What's the story here? Well, there's an issue on e7. If that pawn drops, there's also going to be a fork. And the other detail is that bishop a4 is right around the corner. There's an issue on that diagonal. So Tal does not follow here with the capture on c6. He plays g4. And black's response is to play, well, it goes to f6 here. What is top for black is to first exchange here on d4 to trade these minor pieces here. And in a way, well, by going with these exchanges, this opens up the f4 square for the knight. And what we can see here is now this sort of lockdown on the dark squares. Knight planted on f4 blockades the f-pawn, which helps now pave the way for a stable post for the black queen on e5. So this was an opportunity for black to not immediately react to g4. First chop away and then hop in on that f4 square. All right, in this one, g4, knight f6. Now we castle, only after this file has been opened up. Knight e5, bishop h6. We're going to get that dark square bishop exchange in there, and white here recaptures with the rook. So if you go for a queen recapture, this allows this thematic exchange sacrifice on c3, and the queen's able to swipe one of the doubled pawns here, swipe the c3 pawn. The queen, how Tal plays it, the queen is kept around here on d2, provides some security for the king. Do know in this position there is not some follow-up idea by white to scare the knight. Black's response could be to land a check, follow up, take a knight with check. So how Tal plays it, the queen stays here on d2. It's the rook that does the recapturing. And even in this position with the queen around, watching over c3, we still get this exchange sacrifice. Now it says best is to take with the queen, but how Tal plays it, queens remain on board. Follow-up from here is rook to c8. Now here's another tactic, another sequence here that's available to black. The tables could easily turn right here. And there's a really, this line I'm going to highlight here is really beautiful. What black has available here is bishop captures g4. Now, when that queen knight is not around, securing this e4 pawn, these tricks are in the air. Some capture here, kind of exploiting the overloaded f3 pawn. Two jobs here. How would this play out? After bishop takes g4, well, after chop, knight takes e4. Let's say the queen goes to e3. And this right here, I'm going to take this out a little bit deeper. There's a really cool move right around the corner, really a couple of them. This here being one, knight c4 in this position. The threat now, well, you're on the queen, and there's also a checkmate in 2, so you would have to take the knight. Now, what's the point of this exactly? Well, we're almost there. There would be this follow-up check, only move. Check, pretty much only move to move the king. You don't want to give up the queen. And the idea here, there's only one move here for black. Very pretty. Queen b2. Sacrificing the queen. This little sequence right here almost makes it feel like we're playing checkers. The knight now takes the rook with check, and in the end, gets that queen back. All right, at the end of the day, what are we staring at? A 4 pawns versus bishop imbalance. Who would you prefer here? It says it likes black. Bishop e2 being an only move, calls it around minus 0.7. I think I'm leaning towards the side that has the 4 pawns. Okay. Anyhow, this little trick on g4 was not spotted. That's very lengthy variation, but a really slick combo right there. It's important to be familiar with these tricks on g4 and e4. Follow-up in this game is rook c8, some security over c3, and black from here plays b5. It once more wants to shoot for this trick on g4, follow-up knight takes e4. How black plays it? b5. The idea, drop the knight into c4 next, and after it's removed, well, there's a file to work with. Okay, let's see how Tal handles that idea. He doubles up on the h file. Knight c4 check, got to get rid of it. There's a fork here. So black has the b file, but now Tal here on move crashes through on h7. Got to take the rook. Nearby, check, checkmate. Rook is down for the count. Now the queen sweeps in. You could be sure before Tal went in for that rook sacrifice, he had calculated rook b8 in this position. Now, how black plays it from here, e6 is the move. What would happen, though, if rook b8 was played? Let me throw this one to you as a pop quiz. How would you respond to this check? Feel free to pause the video. All right, there's only one move here for white. You certainly don't want to go to the corner. That'd be mate. And you also would not want to go to c1, any king move, and you would be losing. How are you losing with the king on c1? This would give black an opportunity to exchange queens. And now there would be no attack. Black is up the piece. So what Tal was prepared to play here, he was prepared to meet rook b8 check with knight b3. This is the only move that wins. And now there's an issue of a checkmate in 2, as well as this idea to win the unprotected rook. There's a big difference between the rook on b8 and c8. Much more vulnerable here on b8. So black here does not insert the check. In the game, it is e6, and this is now a completely winning position for white. The only try to stay in the game here, it says black should be playing queen e5 and play a position like this here where the queen is defending some squares. Black isn't going to get mated. It's calling this about +1. So that's best play. with the queen sliding over here to e5. Black plays with e6 here. So there's two things in mind with this e6 move. One, the king is prepared to run. There is a checkmate in 2 threat, so needs to be able to open up a square. e6 opens up e7 and also factors in the f5 square. There's some control over this f5 square, and that's important because if we consider a different e-pawn move, e5, this knight can hop into f5. And now there's a mate in 1 threat. And if you get rid of the knight, well, now there's an open g-file, another path for a checkmate, rook g1, queen g7, maybe even f6, queen g7. So 2 ideas in mind with e6. Square for the king, some control over f5. Follow-up from here is f4, cutting out a couple queen moves and paving the way for g5. We have e5 here. g5, we do not have to react to this threat. Black's try in this game is bishop to e8. If you take the knight, it'll be a checkmate in 4. With the pawn on g5, there's a checkmate in 4 threat. Let's see what this looks like. So rather than bishop e8, let's say the knight is captured. How exactly does this pawn play a role? Well, we're able to check our way to checkmate. Another check, and next up, rook h8 is mate. So pawn on g5 allows this pivot, we might say, eventually for the queen on f6. No time to take the knight. Bishop e8 in this game, and one more pop quiz. What move would you play here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, there's only one winning move. The final move of this game, move 25, knight e6, and black resigns. What are you supposed to do here? There's a mate in 1 threat. Pretty much have to take the knight, but if you take the knight, you're going to lose all of these pieces with check. That's how it's going to go. I want to point out first, instead of the capture of the knight, if there's a check against white here, we're not going to the corner. We're going to run here. If there's a follow-up check, no problem. And this is a rare case, but double isolated pawns, pretty good here. No good follow-up check here for the black queen. And you're going to have to take the knight eventually. And we're still going to see these pieces all drop with check. So let's see what that would look like if the game continued after knight e6. If the knight was captured straight away, this is what it would look like. We take the knight with check. Another check in the corner. King here will have an immediate checkmate, so got to go here. The rook enters. 2 options. If you go here, queen f6 is mate. So you have to block with the bishop. And now queen f6. No matter where the king goes, the bishop will be captured next with check. And in some case, it would be checkmate. For instance, king here, that's mate. King here, it'll be a checkmate in 2, multiple checkmate in 2s. Take the bishop. Queen there, for instance. And if the king tries to run, well, you're not going to run too far. There goes the bishop with check. Another check. And the rook is down for the count as well with check. And this will be mate in just a few from here. We don't have to really go any further, though. We're up the full rook. So how it plays out in this one? After this one final move here, move 25, knight to e6, that was enough to force black's resignation. Sharp move. Anyhow, what are your thoughts with this one? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.